Can you hear me? If you can hear me, can you please type a yes in your chat box, please? Good evening. Can you hear me clearly? Yes, thank you. Can you see me clearly? Is my visual, can you see my visual? Yes, I can hear you clearly. Thank you, Aravind, Tanmaya, MK Pradhan. Welcome, welcome. Rekha Pincha, Venkatesh, Ambarish, Gajendra Mahapatra. Thank you so much for coming. Right, we'll start. Visual is good, right? So we'll start. I'll share the screen now. Right, so we will be communicating through the chats. Right, so this is a special webinar. Right, so this is a very special webinar. We don't do it often. So this is only for the inner circle. Right, so I want you to follow very carefully, and I would like to know how many of you are new here. How many of you are attending this webinar for the first time? Can you type first time in the comment box, please? First time. If you are coming here for the first time, welcome, welcome. Sophia. Right, I'm receiving the responses. Many of you are in the for the first time. Very good. Right, so we'll quickly go into this. Have a pen and paper. Right, so use headphones. This is a personalized experience. Right, it will be like I'm talking to you. Though there are how many people? Can you go to the attendees? Yes. There are 70 people right now, 65, right? 65, and we will be expecting some more people to join, right? So you can grab your pen and paper. At the end of each slide, you can have a takeaway. You can have a takeaway, and if you club those takeaways, you will get a strategy to develop a research paper. That is the idea behind this webinar, right? So this webinar is titled as Original Research Paper Writing, 7 strategies to follow. I'll be telling 7 segments. So if you can have 7 papers, that will be good also, right? So you can have a pen and paper. And for the first timers, I'll just explain why we do this, who we are, and what we do as a research consortium. All those things I'll just explain, right? My name is Asaria Samuel. People call me as Sam, right? So you will have to remember me as Sam. So I have a group of people who are experts in research, from various fields. So we basically do mentorship across colleges, across industries, for students community. So these are some of the photos for you. And we decentralize the knowledge based on each knowledge requirements of each researchers. we solve technical complexities. That is what we do, right? So I'm receiving some comments like video has stopped, I am facing technical glitches, no voice, no display. So if you can hear my voice and if you can see my face, can you please type a yes, or you can type a comment. Yes, it's fine now. Yes, thank you. So maybe you will have to right, if you have any technical glitches, you can just type the comment box. Yes, Nabarun, the video has started. Thank you. Yes, right. So I believe there is no glitch from our side. We have checked, had some issues. Now it's fine. Thank you. Right. So we'll quickly move to the next slides. Right. So there is a confidentiality policy. We take it very seriously, right? So you have given some information about you to join this webinar. Your email is safe, your numbers are safe, right? So some people were concerned if my identity will be revealed or not. Your identity will not be revealed, right? And then your association with us is safe. We do not give your the work we do for yourself is for you only. We do not duplicate the works for others, and your idea is safe. We even help you to patent the idea. So your idea, your research idea is uniquely developed, and it is a individualized service, right? So these are some of the confidentiality policy which I have to display, right? So there are some prerequisites, right? So there are certain things you have to do before writing a original research paper, right? So the first thing is, if you don't have these three things, your paper will not turn out. That is for sure, right? So the first thing is you have to have a new idea. You have to have a very beautiful idea. It should be modern, it should be original, it should compete with the modern crowd. If you're publishing your works in after 2020, it should compete with the authors globally. It's a global phenomena, right? So new idea is a very, very important thing, and we will help you to generate it if you don't have one. We have a specialized service called as novel conceptualization, right? So to generate, I'll also teach you how to there is a separate, that is the first strategy today. Among the 7 strategies, the first strategy is generating a novel idea, right? And the second thing is 80% of your research paper is in your preparation, right? So today you will have 7 papers. Today you will have 7 papers where you will have 7 strategies, what to do. You will come to know after this webinar clearly how to prepare a research paper. I can guarantee that. And 80% you have, after this webinar, maybe you have covered some 40%, right? So the remaining 80 is in the third point. You have to take some action to write, right? You have to fix some deadlines, right? So fixing deadlines are very, very important. Fixing the goal, right? So fixing the goal and then acting on it. Taking action is the bridge between dream and reality, right? So people keep on learning. At some point you'll have to stop learning and start doing. That is also important. Our minds crave new information. So people, research especially, they keep on learning for a very, very long time, right? So they keep on browsing papers. So this webinar is about taking action, right? So if I already know that you are a learner, learned people. So you will have to stop for a while and then start into actions, right? So I have displayed this slide, especially at the end of each slide you will have to take some takeaways for you, right? So think about your research only, right? So your research may be an invention, your research may be a discovery, right? Or your research may be an innovation. And there are only 3 types of papers: original research article, review or survey paper, and conference papers. And today we are going to see about the original research article only, right? So For this preparation, you will have 7 steps, 7 strategies. And before diving into that, I want you to, I display this slide in every webinar, literally for learners, right? So there is something called as Dunning-Kruger effect, right? So we human beings think we are specialized in certain area, and we have an illusion of expertise that we know everything in that area, right? So the process is to unlearn it, right? So there is a Chinese proverb which says that empty the cup and you can fill more, right? So fill the cup to your brim and it will fall, right? So this is mental preparation. I'm going to sow some seeds today, a handful of seeds today, and it should it should grow in a good mind, good soil. That is the reason I'm preparing you to unlearn. Even if you're a doctorate, if you're a student, if you're a scholar, unlearning for a moment helps you to put a lot of new ideas into your head. And then the purpose of learning is not learning, it is to take action with humility, right? It is not like screaming I know everything and I'll do my on my own. It is about taking some actions, contacting your peers, asking your colleagues, consulting with them. All these things comes with radical humility, some humble things. So these are all mental preparations for writing research, right? So so this is the agenda of today's um, okay. Up to this, is my voice and audio clear? I'm receiving so much of issue messages. If you personally, you can type it. If you can see me and hear my audio clearly, can you type a yes, each of you, please? Yes, thank you. Clear, right? So this is the agenda. I will go through these things, and we will have a very short break after this slide, and then we will dive into the real stuff, right? So this webinar is about your research. You should not think about others research or your friends research or anything. You have to think about your own study, your own problem. So that is the first thing I want to say. And the second thing is there is going to be 7 strategy, as you know, and we will have 3 minutes break for 3 times, right? So that will consume about 9 minutes of break time. Meanwhile, you can have some water, you can take some, if you want papers, pen, you can bring it. And I will give some link for the upcoming webinars, upcoming free webinars. I'll give you some link. You can meanwhile register there, right? So that is the time for the break. And when yes, this fourth point is very beautiful, right? When the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? When the student is truly ready, the teacher disappears and action appears, right? So this is also a Chinese proverb. So from this slide on, if you are very serious about learning, you have to stay. Otherwise this webinar is going to be a waste of time for you, right? So if you're here for e-certificate or something like that, this will not benefit you, right? So it's for truly dedicated people. So I want you to sit in a place, I'm still preparing you because I'm going to give you things which you will not find in the internet. You will find in the internet, but it is consolidated in a certain way which will be very easy to even write a research paper in 5 days, in 3 days. If you're truly serious, you can even write it in a day. If you have your research ready and all these data is ready, it can quickly expedite your process, right? So and if you have any negative mindset, you'll have to drop it down, right? So you have to listen with the open heart and write the takeaways at the end of each slide, right? So most intelligent people I have seen, they will listen, right? They will observe, but writing truly helps, right? So you will definitely lose some takeaways if you listen. Maybe after 3 days you will tend to forget, but taking notes, writing it will help you. So I'll have a quick break, and then we'll move into this strategy one of framing. This is what is the strategy one is about, right? So it is about generating the new concept. I'll tell you how new concepts are generated, how you should do it, right? So at the end of each slide, even if I tell or not, try to snapshot the slides, or you can just take some notes, and finally you can compile, and you will have some idea about your research, right? So up to this point, if you are with me, can you please type with me? That will make me glad. Please do it. With you, can you please type with you? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm receiving so much of with you, right? So we will take a very short break, right? You can grab some water, notepads, pen, right? So you can sit in a comfortable place, place your device in a place, and then dedicate for, distraction free time. You can sit in a distraction free place, right? So we are going to dive in, and all these things, all these 7 strategies are from our experience of doing research papers. So you can quickly make a note of it, and you can teach your students also, and you can teach in your own style, right? So we'll go for a break and we'll come back soon, right? Thank you. Right. We are back. Can you see me? If you can see me, please type a yes. If you can hear me, please type a yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Right. So we are moving into this strategy 1. Right. So how many of you are eager to learn? Say I am eager in your comment box. Some of you are already excited. I can see in your comments. Anticipating. I'm eager. Yes, it's audible. Thank you. Right. Thank you for your anticipation. Right. So this is the first strategy. Right. So you have to write this in a separate paper. Right. So and exactly follow these steps, and I will show you this slide. This slide is about the progress of this strategy one. This slide is about the progress of this strategy one. If you do exactly in this same steps, you will arrive at a junk document or a raw document, right? So that raw document, you will have to take it for the editing, rephrasing, checking plagiarism. I will come to that later, right? So first thing is about your idea clustering, right? So I want you to write it now, right? Whatever I say, I want you to write it. Idea clustering is about your domain, about your interesting domain, right? And subdomains. Curious or explorative with your that is going to be your lifetime's work, right? So this decision is very, very important, right? So when I started my study, I was so interested in two things, HIV research and cancer informatics, right? But these two interests cannot be taken in one research, so I resorted to cancer informatics, right? So can you just type what is your area of interest? So much you can, you will have the interest to dwell all day. Can you type the your interesting area of research, because that is very, very important. That is going to be your life's work. Algorithmic trading, SCADA, aquaculture, agricultural biotechnology, software engineering, electrochemical sensing, pharmaceutical, nice, neurodegradation, internet of things, competency, digital payments, novel drug delivery system, nanobiotechnology. Good, good. So you can see there are diversified fields, right? So this is going to be your life's work. And say for example, social work, right? So somebody has written social work. So this is a very big domain, right? So the first thing is you have to cluster all the ideas in that, right? Resort into one particular very, 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 very narrow down research topic. I'll give you an example. When I say cancer informatics, that is a very broad topic, very, very broad topic, right? But if I say metastasis of cancer informatics, like I want to study only the spread of cancer, that is somewhat narrowed down, right? So this is, so you can exclude all other things about cancer, and you can just come to the spread or the metastasis of cancer, right? And still you can still further down, right? So metastasis of cancer in hepatocellular, hepato means liver, in liver. You can further, you can exclude brain tumor. Your subdomains. The first thing you typed is a domain, right? So do you have idea of your subdomain? Do you have idea? If you have idea, you can type your ideas, just a word of your subdomain. Otherwise you can say there is no idea. Otherwise you can no, it has come. Yes, some people are experiencing some technical glitches. I will take a moment to check on it. No idea, right? So right, some of you are not having idea, right? So that means you will have to follow these exact steps. The first step is you will have to visit this website, right? sciencedirect.com. You can make a note of it, sciencedirect.com, right? And then I'll tell you one thing. The second thing you will have to do is you have to make component analysis document, right? So I'm going to teach you how to make research components. Research is on the whole, research will will consist of many individual components, right? So if you're clear on at least 5 to 7 components of your research, you are done, right? So every research will, I'll teach you to identify the components also. So you can see this paper, you can see this title, right? So development and validation of an LC-MS or MS method for the quantification of flavonoid glucuronides, and the brackets they have given the name, we'll skip the name, in the bile and blood samples, right? Application to a portal vein infusion study, right? So my first question is, how many components do you think are there in this title alone? Can you type in the chat box, how many components do you feel or find out? Can you type in the comment box? Three, okay. Components, right, right, right. So I'll just explain this, right? So development is a component. After developing, validating something is a component, right? You should know how, when you do a literature review, each of the components are the subject matter of study. That is what you are going to study. See, when you title a paper like development, you will have to know all the development modes, modalities, previous researchers, what they did to develop such kind of method, right? That is what this literature review is about, right? So you will have to review everything, every word. And validation, you should know the modality of validation, how do they do, and on what they are doing, right? LC-MS method, and for what they are doing, for quantification of what? Flavonoid glucuronides, right? Each of the component is an attribute. If you change one component, the research will vary, right? If you once again, article number, author name, theme, no, that is different, right? I'm talking about the thing which is displayed in the slides, right? Right. So you can see the components, right? So I'll teach you this component analysis document is a document that you'll have to do it first. The first thing is you will do a component analysis document. So the first line you can read, do research problem. Initially at this point, you will have to do the component study, right? We'll go slide by slide. So there are actually two phases, right? So these are the two phases, pre-submission process. So before submitting your final paper, we will go step by step. So I'm talking about this idea clustering stage now, right? So this is how you will segregate the ideas. You can snapshot it or you can write it, right? So parameters are yes. Parameters is what I spoke about. How do they do it is methodology. What did they get? The results is output, and the limitation of methodology, right? So limitation means they would have skipped a part, right? So they would have guided the research to another researcher, right? So they would have, the place where they stopped or the place where they skipped, you will have to identify that, right? There I am receiving a comment from, okay, mobile. You are, even if you are in mobile, right? You will you can just scroll it. You will have a chat box. You can use completely the Q&A box. There will be a Q&A button. Years is, that is where you will find the recent research, right? So if you take a 2015 paper, most probably the authors would have covered everything in that field. Most probably the authors would have covered everything in that field. So resort to the 4 years paper alone, right? So this is what is given here. 5 reference papers, right? Some people say that as base papers. Five reference papers, and the way of writing is to first extract 5 parameters. 5 parameters, and these are the parameters. What is given in that paper? What is how did they do? That is the methodology part, and what results they have got, This is like a quick literature review. You are not going to write anything, but you are going to, this is idea clustering. You are going to gather idea. Once you write, you will have some idea about the research, right? So without this writing work, probably you will look vague. These slides will look vague, but when you write it on a separate paper, you will definitely have uh, a good idea about the paper, right? So, and then you will frame the first strategy, you will frame a multi-component title, which is a tentative title, right? So this is tentative. Tentative means it's not permanent, right? So tentative title, it can start like the purpose of your study. The purpose of your study may be to analyze, to determine, to elucidate, to enhance, to detect something, to hybridize something. So in between there will be many components linked together by a what is that, words like if, in, hybridization of some system, hybridization of two systems, of some subjects will be there in the places where I have put some dash. There will be subjects, right? So this of, using, with, between, all these prepositions, it will combine these elements. So this will be your study throughout your PhD, right? So you can write a paper, you can write 4 or 5 papers on each of the components. So up to this, if you are able to understand something, can you please type a yes in the comment box? Yes, thank you. Right, so your purpose of your research is to frame a tentative title, a temporary title of your study on what, in methodology, using what methodology, with something between this, during this period, during what timeline. So there are many attributes you should know. The first thing I will stress is know the attributes of your research, right? That is what is represented as parameters. That is what is represented as components. See, these words, components, attributes, parameters, factors, are all same, right? You should know it. That is how you will, and knowing the basics, knowing strategy 1 will lay a solid foundation in your vivos also. When you defend your thesis, or when you defend your papers, it will lay solid foundations if you're very clear on the components, right? So I'll quickly go through this is a development and validation paper of, and they have quantified through a method, the prepositions, application 2, a portal vein infusion study. So this is an entire demonstration of, this is how you frame a title. And when you frame a title, it doesn't come at once. It comes in days, it comes in months. Framing this title took some time. Welcome to the special webinar on original research paper writing. This is not a, this is a no-brainer. It is a very easy title, but it should be resonating with the learners, right? So your title should be resonating with the readers. That is an important point you have to note, because they are going to search using keywords. They are going to search using keywords. So your title should always resonate with the readers. It is not for you, it is for the others, right? So this is strategy 1. And at the end of each slide, I asked you to take some notes. And some of you are asking, can you share the slide, right? We will give you at the end of the webinar, I will tell you that, right? Anyway, chunking, idea clustering is the first part. So once your idea is crystallized, this is called as crystallization of ideas, right? You have many ideas, many components, many factors, attributes to change, algorithms to change, everything. You will have to crystallize it. And crystallization can only happen through writing. No other way can crystallize an idea, right? So you can record, there are 1,000 apps, but nothing is equivalent to the old school method of writing by hands, right? So there are thousands of apps for mind map and other things, but if you write, that is the best mind map, right? So idea clustering, and after that you will have to eradicate some factors, You'll have to chunk it, you'll have to cut it, right? And then pruning is the process of coming out of certain of your ideas. We have some strong attachment with our ideas, but when it comes to research, you will have to have a pruned idea. So you will have to eliminate certain ideas which will not be publishable, right? So which has more prone to rejections. You will have to eradicate that, and then comes your first raw draft, right? So then you will start writing with references. In the next strategy we'll go into that, right? So up to pruning is the first part, right? So it might take days, months, or for some of you it will take years also. Even the pre-submission progress, if you are doing it very seriously, it will take some time. And this is where your action part comes. You will have to dedicate some time for that, and that will be rewarded later, right? So this is strategy one. If you have any doubts, you can just type it. You will have many doubts. We will, and at the end of this webinar, all your doubts you can club it, right? You can club, you can condense your doubts, and you can send it to the mail ID which is on the display, support@aristocratresearch.com. We will take your personal journey from there, right? So once you send it, right? So since now, how many people are there? Can you click on the attendees? Okay. Right. So as of now, 95 people are in the room. It's a good crowd at this hour. Hungry learners. Thank you for your time. Right. So we'll quickly move to the next strategies. Okay, I missed it. Right. So this is right. So this is the most important slide in this entire presentation. Right. So if you can write it, or and knowing this slide alone can take your research to the next level, right? So after this some people are asking so much of doubts, right? So I want you to save your doubts and write it as an email. We will give you a one-on-one call, live call, or a Zoom call probably. We can connect, and we have specialized team for that. They will connect to you, they will teach you, they will tell you, with your permission we will move to the next level, right? So this is the most important slide. So the first thing is initiation, right? So first thing to look forward, these words are important when you write anything regarding research. Right? So research proposal, or abstract, or a one-page report, or a PPT, or a research paper, literature review paper, conference paper, thesis, synopsis. These 5 things are important. These are the only 5 things that will, if you see any research, it will make you crystal clear it will make your things crystal clear. The first thing is you should ask this question: why this research is done, when is it done, what is done, how it is done, that is the methodology, where it is done, and who is doing the research, right? So these are the basic research questions you will ask. Why this research is done, when it is done, what it is done, what is done actually, what exactly is done, right? So this you will have to write it, not because that will give you a clear crisp of a literature review. When you study a paper, these 6 questions will give you a clear background where you can apply your technical writing skills, and you can write and put a reference, right? We'll come to that later. This is second strategy, right? So this is second strategy. I will come to this slide later, right? So I'm displaying this first because this is important. The second thing is you will have to inspect it. What is done in the earlier research, and what am I here for? That is the gap. What is the reason I want to do the research? In what way it will be helpful for the research community, right? What problem will it solve? Now you can read there is the hot research topic is on COVID-19. In what way the virus can be stopped? That is a problem statement. They are asking, researchers are asking. And if you read some of the papers from COVID-19, you can ask the same question: why it is done, when it is done, the timeline. Many papers are published in February 2020. Scope means objective. You have some purpose. That is what is scope. So by doing literature review, so doing literature review is the first phase of any research, right? So previously they go to libraries. In Charles Darwin's days, they go to library. They don't have photography or anything, so um, they draw everything by their own hand. Right now we are digital researchers. We have shifted to the digital era. So you can quickly do a literature review for the past 5 years, right? So for the past 5 years, yes, many people are talking about the connections. Can you just see that? Right? How many of you are having good responses time? In the video and audio response time. Can you type it's good, or simply type good, please? Good. Right, I'm receiving many good. So if you are lagging, if the response is lagging, I think you will have to check your internet, right? So nothing should stream. Nobody in your home should use internet at this time, right? Right, good, but regularly disconnecting. And if you are using mobile internet, that will be a delay, right? So we'll quickly move into the third step. Third step will be about understand the scientific methodology. The research methodology, you cannot simply follow any methodology, right? So scientific methodology is a rigorous study. It's a disciplined study of certain things, right? So I will in the coming slides, I will talk to you about the scientific methodology also. There is a slide specifically to know what kind of scientific methodology you can use. And the fourth thing is about writing your results and interpretations, right? So whatever you have done, how to interpret it is fourth thing. And I'll show you some examples on there is also specifics to write the results and discussions. And finally you produce some insight on your research. That we call that as, research works we usually call as research pipeline. It takes years, it takes cost. Research is costly. It is, sometimes you'll have to invest a lot of money to do laboratory works. Sometimes you'll have to invest a lot of time. So in your busy schedule, you will have to find all those time and other kind of sacrifices that is required, right? So finally with references, it ends, right? So we will go, this is the most important slide. That is the reason I'm explaining these things, and we will go into these elements in the coming slides. I'll display some example slides. So these are the 5 I's, what we have seen: initiation, inspection, inquiry, interpretation, and intuitive insights. I'll display this one. This is the introduction, right? So one second, I missed a slide. Yes, right. So introduction will have these 4 sections. Introduction will have these four sections. General introduction about the entire study. Say for example, if you're writing a research on cancer informatics, you will dedicate 10 references. You will dedicate 10 references for the general introduction, right? So in layman's understanding, it is not for the higher level of research understanding. For the layman's understanding, you will write 10 references, and then you will talk about the exact problem. In my case, I was talking about how the rapid metastasis of hepatocellular carcinoma, right? So hepatocellular is liver cancer. How it spreads rapidly. What are the genes involved, right? So how can you analysis with I use time series data. How to analyze this time series data? All those are my problems in the to be submitted to the research community. So problem description can take 15 references, right? So 15 references means you are referring to 15 authors, you are referring to 15 authors or 15 research works, which will give you a solid foundation of the problem you are going to solve, right? So it should you should be very clear on the problem, so that you will venture into the unknown to seek solutions, right? Solutions, some people come to us with some five, 15 references, and then write your contributions. What you have, if you have done laboratory research, what types of research. I'll come to the methodology part later in the strategy 4. So you will write something about the methodology, and the last part is about the rest of the section organization, how you will organize the paper. Remember, this is, you are writing a original sorry, you are writing a original research paper, right? So the rest of the section you will just write in the introduction part. I'll quickly display this slide. You can see all the 4 parts here, right? I'll show this. This is the scalability, on-demand services, flexibility, virtualization, geographical distribution. These 4 points are the general distribution, general introduction, right? And the next thing is controlling. You can see the user-oriented monitoring, virtual system monitoring. All these things are problem descriptions, right? So if you can see the referencing, in the first 4 lines, they have used 2 references. Can you see? And you can see here is 4 and 5 references, right? So there are so much of references you will have to use, and you will have to use this figurative representations, which is designed professionally, right? So you cannot draw in the paint box and bring it here, right? So the contribution of the model in this paper, that is about their contribution. This is what I told you in the 3rd point, our contribution. And the authors are talking about their contribution to the paper, right? So, and you can attributes to write a good introduction. So if a researcher, if a reader is reading reading your introduction, and if he is satisfied, he may cite your paper, right? So in that way you will improve your citation index also. So this is about introduction. So up to this point, if you have any doubts, I'll quickly go through these slides. This is the 5 I's, right? If you have not taken any notes, you can write it again. Inspection, initiation, inquiry, interpretation, intuitive insights, right? So these are the 5 points, and they are applied in 4 areas: writing general introduction, writing problem descriptions, contributions, rest of the section. Even writing introduction is, you have to write it diligently, take some time, put all your consciousness into it, bring all the factors into awareness. It's an art. Scientific writing is not science, it is an art, right? So once you know the components, you can fill it, right? So these are some of the variations of the introductions, right? So you can visit sciencedirect.com, download any paper, especially for the new people, right? Right, so many people are still reporting the technical glitches. I don't know what happened today to our internet service, right? Anyway, up to this, if you are clear, can you please type clear? Or if you're with me, can you please type with you that you are following me? If you are following me, clear, sir. Yes, thank you. I'm receiving responses. Thank you so much. With you, right? I can see some names are familiar. Good. Thank you so much. Right. So this is about introduction, right? So some people ask me when I present these sessions, how can you teach research paper writing in a session? That is a very beautiful question. I can show you ways. I'm just pointing the signboard. I'm just pointing to the moon. I'm not telling you the real moon. I'm not teaching you the real moon. This thing you will have to write it. There are many. It takes several days. It takes a lot of effort, lot of effort, right? So we have completed strategy number one. I will quickly go through this slide. So we are still in this phase, right? So pre-submission progress. The first strategy is to cluster all your ideas, and you will get some idea on the parameters of your study. Fix that and don't deviate, right? You can also get some permission from your supervisors initially, because usually if your study is fixed, you know what to do. You know what when to publish papers on those attributes, and then remove all the unwanted parameters of study, and then prune it and fix it. That is the first part. It takes time and courage to fix it, right? So anything might go wrong, and then you have editable paper, and then manuscript preparation as per journal guidelines. That will come later. And these three are publication processes, right? So submission usually happens in a click of a button, but the pre-works are so much, right? So I spoke about a document called as component analysis document, which is basically a rough literature study, right? So and the way of writing is to look at 5 parameters: input, methodology, output, limitation, future scope, right? There is a comment. Please have a session on how crowd. We will definitely have new sessions, right? So parameters, these are some of your timelines. I usually tell people to stick to the last 5 years research. Last 5 years research, you will have a clear picture of what problem you can dwell on, right? So some of my team members are also in this webinar. I tell them always the novel concept. Today 2 people in who are clients for us, who are associated with us, they got their doctorate. I mean, they have completed their viva voce today. It's a special day for us. We celebrated today. So this gives you a good idea about crystallizing the ideas, research ideas, and then we moved on to strategy 2. So there are 4 parts where you will apply the 5 I's in the writing process: general introduction, problem description, your contributions, and the rest of the section, right? Right. So we will move into the next session, and before that, I would like to make this announcement. I would like to know how many of you are from the teaching background. Can you type proudly that I am a teacher? Can you what I am doing is I'm teaching to you. I feel good. If you're feeling good as a teacher, can you type I am a teacher proudly? Yes, very good. I am receiving many. I am a teacher. Some people associate the word teacher with school teachers, right? You should call me a professor, they say, right? If you're a professor also, you are a teacher, right? Basically we are all teachers. Okay, I was a lecturer, right? All these positions, professors, lecturers, all these positions, but basically it comes down to teaching, right? I'm not, but I want to become one. Right, good. So if you are a teacher, I'm going online for a teaching class, uh, because this is a time where your teaching has to go online, right? So I'm interacting with you by looking at my computer's camera, right? My laptop's camera. right? So this teaching is going to the next stage. Previously, in the olden days, we had teacher training, and then now we have FDP. We used to have faculty development program where some resource person will come and talk, and the next stage is to become a digital leader, right? So you are all having some knowledge in your field of expertise, right? So that can be crystallized into a online course or teaching online, where you will you are experts in your core area, because you study bachelor's, masters, and then do PhD. Automatically you become specialized in that area. But the technology part, when it comes to the technology part, there is a huge shift, right? So for this, I have planned this webinar on creating awareness. It's awareness masterclass on teach and grow rich system. So how to monetize your own skill, right? So without depending on others, how to take your knowledge, your crystallized knowledge to the world. How to the world, I'm saying, I mean it, right? So to the world, you may be a very good teacher in your college, but you will have to teach it to the world. And now is the good time, right? We are actually forced to come into the digital world. This is a very good time, and I will go through all the process. I'll go through the journey of a teacher to become a digital leader. you know um, Teaching is one thing, and taking leadership responsibility is another thing. So that is why I have written as great teacher to a noble digital leader, right? It's a free webinar. We will have the second quick break of 3 minutes. I want you to, I will copy this and paste it in the message. You can click and register right now, right? If you have already registered it, it's okay. This is about a system of digital teaching, where there are a lot of things you will have to do as a digital leader if you want to become one, right? So, or at least you can tell someone who wants to become a digital leader, right? So I used to teach seminars. I used to take classes. I was, this is me, this is my team. This is a class we did it in IIT. This is a class we did in SRM. So these are some of the places where we used to teach, and these days are gone, right? Why should I travel to so much of place? Now I have how many attendees? Can I see the attendees number? Yes, we have 97 people on board right now. Right now, 97 people are in some degree of listening mode. They are with me, right? So it is very important that our teaching has to shift online, right? So there are many colleges. They have approached me to make their faculties to move to the digital. We usually have a resistance to any new technologies. We have resistance. So this course is about creating your own platform, publishing it. There are a lot of tech part involved in this. So this digital world has a lot of technology part, has a lot of promotion part. This part, this word grow rich, has some uh, there are promotions involved. You'll have to tell it, you'll have to create awareness to the world that you are a master of something, right? Otherwise nobody is going to look at you, right? So we will have to create awareness that you are able to teach something, right? Whether you're good or not is second thing. Whether you are willing to teach is the first thing, right? Willingness. So this how many of you are registering right now? Say I am. If you are registering in that message which you have received, the link, right? We will take a short break, come again back, come soon, and we will start with these things: literature review writing, right? I will stop sharing for a while, and then we will come back, right? Right. Some of you have registered. Thank you so much for that. And today we have some technical glitches, right? So there is some lag in the video. Right. I apologize for that. We will take care of that in the next time. Right. Right. We'll go back to the slides. Right. Right. So this is on day after tomorrow, Saturday, June 6th. This is the webinar. I look forward for you, right? So strategy 3, you will have to take a separate paper and start writing the literature review part of the original research paper, right? So these are the 4 things I have told already, and you can check these things in the literature review part. So input is about the question you want to ask to the authors of the paper you are reading, right? What they have taken as input, right? So each parameter, if you dwell on it, you will get some idea, right? So input, methodology used, output, and limitation of the used methodology, right? So I'll display literature review paper. This is about cloud monitoring system, right? So you can see the number of references they have used, right? So some people write literature reviews without references, right? So and some people put references for namesake, right? So they will download some papers, they will give some numbers, and then they will put some references, right? So that is not how it happens. Referencing is a very serious issue, right? So we have specialized tools for referencing, and each line by line it is crafted. This good research papers are not written, it is crafted, right? So that is very important. Literature review, and you can use, there is a word service level agreement, and the use of abbreviations are to be mentioned. I'll go through this literature review. I'll go with some elements. You can make a note of it. Use of abbreviations, use of references, right? Can you see my cursor? Yes, it is visible. Use of combined references, right? So you will have to know about the types of referencing. What is the journal expecting? What type of referencing the journal is expecting? That is a parameter. That also you can note it down. The type of referencing changes with the journal, right? There are many systems of referencing, right? So referencing formats, you should have some knowledge on referencing formats. So while writing a review paper, maybe for a special live afterwards, we will stick to writing review paper, right? And the important thing in writing a literature review is to validate all the condensed knowledge, right? Validation is very important. Validating of right. There is a comment: for reference, numbering is more appropriate, or writing names is more proper format. So it depends on the format. In a certain format, names are written, right? And in certain formats, in this format what I'm displaying, numbers is the norms, numbering is the norms. Proposed, you can see there these 4 things, right? So input, methodology, say you can this word, proposed multi-agent based, it's a methodology, it's a model they have given, right? So we will quickly move to the next strategy, which is a very long one, which is a very important one. It is about framing a new methodology, right? So how to fix a methodology. I told in scientific methodology there are only 3 things, right? There are only 3 things you should know to frame a methodology, regardless of whatever field you are. You may be from science background, technology, engineering, management, language, language, English people, any English people are here, English, right? There is a question about why do formats vary? Why not one universally accepted? That is a difficult question to answer, right? There are many formats, right? So we will dwell on it later. Anyway, you can write this. This is a good question. The answer is quite long. We'll get back to you, right? And right. So strategy 4 is about framing novel methodology. It's about enhancing the existing methodology, right? So the previous authors would have used some methodology, and you can enhance it, you can improvise it, you can improvise the efficiency, accuracy, you can validate some, you can change some parameters and test it, right? That is one thing, that is one form of research, and all these three things fall into the category of innovation. This is not invention, right? So this is very important. All these three categories, hybridizing two existing methodology and changing one parameter of that, and uh, as an author, you create new names for your methodology. It is allowed. You can create your own names for the methodology. Later on, if it is valuable, if it is producing a reproducible results, the research community is going to accept that names also, right? So that is how naive Bayes algorithm came into place, using conditional probability, right? So the third type of methodology is to take an existing methodology and completely revamping it, right? So take, say for example, you want to create an algorithm completely. You have to create an algorithm, then put some data, train that algorithm and show efficiency. In that way you will compete with the previous researchers, right? So complete new mathematical model or completely new algorithm, a completely patentable process. All these things are more suitable for industrial research, for commercial based research, for profit purposes. It will be very useful. But if you are into such kind of research, it will take so much of time to get published, because the peer review process will be, the scrutiny will be high, and the way they are testing these models, the way they will apply the falsifiability of the research will be so high. So it will be a complicated process, right? So the first two things is what we recommend for academicians, academic people, right? So the other is for patenting purpose. So there are three ways to frame new methodology. So if you're clear on these two things, you can fix on one thing, right? You can choose one methodology and enhance it, or choose two or three things and create a new thing. The first two things I have just explained, right? So this is more useful for future research, future technologies. And now we have automated cars where everything comes into play. Sensor comes into play, robotics comes into play, even genetics and biology comes into play in certain technologies. Recently, Adidas has adapted the way the lizards are moving on the wall, right? So they have studied the movement of lizards in the wall, and then they have developed a material which is so sticky, uh, and it can be released immediately also. So for the sports purposes, they have enhanced, it's called as biologically inspired. There are many algorithms, biologically inspired algorithms, genetically inspired algorithms are there. So basically you get some idea of, if you're studying so deep about the existing methodology, you can enhance it by altering some parameters. So up to this, you got some idea. Kindly type clear in the chat box, in the Q&A box. Clear. We'll move on to the next one. It's still about strategy 4. Clear. Yes. Right. Right. So this is how you write the methodology in a research paper. This is how you write a methodology part in the research paper. I will show you with an example also. Before that, we will write the elements. Right. So the first thing is, you have to talk something. You have to write something about the methodology. You have to write about the methodology, and then you have to talk about your proposed methodology, that you are going to use that methodology. And again, you will have to, for easy understanding, you will have to split the parts of this methodology, and there is something called as architecture diagram or model or framework. They say with many names, right? Framework diagram, flow chart. process flow chart, mathematical model, right? So you can have a quick look at this paper. If you read the two lines in the beginning, in this section, we discuss a great model of, general model of multi-agent based cloud monitoring system. The model is based on a simple multi-agent system that effectively monitors, and it's about this point, about the methodology they are talking, right? About the methodology in first two lines. And then they talk about in proposed model software agents take autonomous actions. That is about the proposed methodology, the second part. And then they slowly move into the next part, and you can see the mathematical model here. They have elaborated this. You can read this paragraph. This approach minimizes the possibility. They are defending they have started defending from here. If you read, it determines the moments collector agent stops collecting. They have started defending the methodology they are proposing. They are putting a stance that if you use this methodology, something is going to turn out good, right? So that is the stance they are taking. That is where the researcher, the author, comes into play. He's showing the authority. He's showing the authority in this field. He is establishing authority through mathematical models, through numberings, and you can see there will be minimal references here, because there is no references actually. There is only one references, 29. That is because he is proposing a new methodology. You cannot refer a new methodology from old works, right? So this is also a very important point. You cannot refer old methodologies in your own new methodology. This is a thesis. This is the thesis which defines whether the paper will get accepted or not. This is the thesis. The third part is the core part, which we dissect in strategy 4, right? So I'll come to this later. So these are all the I'll go again from here. There are only 3 ways, and usually the easiest way is the first 2, enhancement and hybridization. And then the structure of the writing structure of the methodology part, and then this is the example of those part. You will have to note this slide alone. Yes. Okay. There is a question. What about history? History as a subject, right? So history you can do in 2 types, right? History, English. Usually there will be literature, literary criticism studies, and then the other will be English language teaching. And the same goes with management, arts and science, arts and humanities, and management also. So if you are doing research in history, Hema has asked that question. If you are doing research in history, the first thing will be primary data collection. What methodology you are going to do in primary data collection, and what will be your secondary data, and how will you analyze the secondary data, what hypothesis you will frame, and how will you test that hypothesis, and what is the statistical significance results you will produce, right? So that is how usually these management, arts, and what is the other thing, languages researches goes. I'm talking about science, technology, engineering goes by this methodologies, right? So laboratory experiments, data analysis, mathematical. So these are the major 5 things. These are the major 5 things your research will fall into, right? So you will do either laboratory experiments or computational. My entire study is in this one, computational methodology, right? So I used many simulation tools like MATLAB, many simulation boxes, Linux toolboxes. So can you just say, if you're an experienced researcher, if you're a doctorate, can you type the among these 5, which was your research category, or which is, if you are a scholar, which is your methodology that you aspire to do, whether you want to do in lab or experimental methodology or statistical methodology, analyzing with the data, visualizing data, running time series data, statistical analysis. You want to produce some statistical inference or mathematical Someone has written third one, right? Yes, that is computational methodology, observational methodology, right? So I'll give you a best example for observational methodology is the discovery that Charles Darwin made, that evolution is happening by means of natural selection, right? So he actually dedicated 5 long years in an island called as Galapagos. He was observing small bird, finches, small tortoise, and other things, turtles. So he started questioning by observation, right? So observational methodology is a lengthy study. It's also a very important thing. And then the last thing is case study. So I have received some comments: mathematical, statistical, experimental, lab methods, right? So whatever method you use, it will fall under these 5 categories mostly, right? So if you have the knowledge of your methodology, you can literally start writing this proposed methodology. The only thing is, as a researcher, as a scientist, you will have to propose a new methodology. That is the only difference between PhD and masters and bachelors. Masters and bachelors people, they need not devise a new methodology. They can simply resort to some methodology, produce some results, and get marks from the professors. But only researchers have this burden of creating new methodology, still sticking to the scientific methodology. You cannot simply create a methodology. It is going to be tested, it is going to be validated. Your methodology is going to be validated. That is where there is a huge difference between simply putting a claim and simply putting a testable claim, right? So scientific methodology is all about putting testable claims to the public, so that you are giving a challenge, right? So in 1869, Charles Darwin gave us a challenge. He proposed the theory of evolution by means of natural selection, and till date, 2020, nobody has refuted it. It is withstanding the test of time. And if somebody is refuting it, that will be thrown out. If somebody proves through scientific method that something is wrong with some, that is the power of scientific methodology, right? So Newtonian physics is thrown out by Einsteinian physics, that, right? So Newtonian physics are not what we are into right now. We are into Einsteinian physics, gravitational waves. Newton told about gravitation as a force, but it is not a force. It has a wave property, right? So that is what they have discovered over a period of time. So if you can fix this methodology part, definitely you can start writing methodologies. And you can see research paper is not a one component system, right? So writing research papers has 7 different parts, right? So I'm talking about the 4th part. If you're knowing this part straight away, you can start in this part also, right? So that is the point I want to make, right? So up to this, if someone, if you have got some idea, can you type I'm with you, right? So that we can move into the 5 and next strategies. We still have 3 strategies left. Can you type with you comment in the Q&A box? Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Right, so we will move to the next strategies. Right, so before going into this, we will have a break later. We will okay. I'll just move to this strategy 5. Right, so strategy 5 is about results and discussion. It's about results and discussion. How many of if you are new, if you are starting your research new, this slide is irrelevant to you. If you're a scholar, if you are having results with you, this is a valuable slide for you, right? So the first thing is you have to furnish everything in this paper, right? So these are the things to furnish. You have to talk about your data collection, right? You have to talk about your experimental setup. So when I say experimental setup, I'm talking about this part, right? It can be about your lab, it can be about the data you used in the statistics method, about the data. Here you are talking about the method, and in the slide 5, strategy 5, you are talking about the setup, right? The data used. So there is a difference between this and this, right? So this slide is directly linked with this one, right? So you can see there will not be much of a reference in the first 2 or 3 paragraphs, and then the results, there will not be any references because it is your results, right? So you will have to they are talking about some artificial neural network, I hope so, ANN. Yes. Supporting the collector decisions, you can see how they have displayed the validation results, right? So they are taking a bold stance of displaying the results. They are validating, and they are telling that this is a efficient research, right? So some researchers have asked me, should the research be displaying only positive results, right? So I have a very good answer for them, right? So how many of you, I'm going to talk about something called as God particle. How many of you have heard of this word Higgs boson? Higgs boson. I am aware. Type I am aware. That is the word. I'm talking some physics examples. If you are not aware of this, I am unaware. Yes, no, I am not aware. Right. I'll tell you a short story, right? So this is about a scientific story. Higgs boson, Higgs, Higgs boson, BOSON. It's a subatomic particle. It's a very tiny particle than proton, electron, and neutrons. It's a subatomic particle, right? So scientists were searching for nearly 100 years, starting from 1900s till 2013. They have been searching it. Do you think no papers were published on Higgs boson? Right, so there were thousands of papers, thousands of scientists have written papers that the search is futile. There is no particle like Higgs boson. You can search it today after this webinar, right? So there are so much of papers refuting the existence of Higgs boson, and in 2013 they discovered it, right? In 2013 they discovered it, and all the scientists' hypotheses were rejected, but still that was a research at that point of time, right? So even if your validity, even if your thesis is rejected after some point of time, publishing it is always helpful to the researchers community. That is the point I want to make, right? So if your efficiency is improved or if it is decreased, it should be reported. We are talking about reporting research here. Reporting research is what is called as writing research papers, right? So some researchers, research guides, especially supervisors, they would like to have increasing in efficiency. So that is having a fixed mindset before the research, right? Research doesn't work that way. It is testing hypothesis. You have some assumption, and then you test it. You test with some these things. You test with some laboratory experiments. You test the idea with statistics. You test the idea with the simulation. You observe and test it. You analyze the case study and test it. But anyway, you report the research results and discussion, right? So that is about some of your questions may be, what if I don't get the desired results, right? Still you have to write a paper. That is the answer, right? So it is not about the fixed results that we are seeking. It is also about the results we are getting. It is our duty as a researcher to report it and defend what you report, right? So strategy 6. Right. So conclusion. So people, usually, if you notice clearly, I have not taught you about writing abstract till now. Right. I have skipped. I directly started with the introduction. How many of you noticed that? I have not started with abstract, or I didn't start with title. Right. So how many of you noticed that? Say yes, or say I will be right. I noticed. Yes. Yes. Right. So the strategy 6 and 7 is dedicated for writing abstracts and titles. Seventh strategy is very, very important because that will have the rejection potential. Only your title, your abstract, read, the reviewer is first going to read your abstract, and then he will come to a conclusion whether to proceed or not, right? So the important thing is strategy 7, right? So we will go after break after this, completing this strategy 6. So strategy 6 is about writing conclusion and references. People are usually in a hurry to write conclusion. I have seen this in my own team. Conclusion, they will copy from some several conclusion and they will put. That is not the way to conclude, do conclusions. Conclusion means is this strategy 6 conclusion writing is for guiding other researchers. It's for guiding other researchers. I'm repeating it, right? So it is about telling your entire journey in this. This is the special part here. You have to defend your methodology and results. That is the strategy 4 and 5. You have to defend it. And if you have any, if you imagine, if you have attained any achievements, right? For example, you have received a good validation report that outrules the previous researchers. You will be naturally proud and you will be so excited. You cannot show that in the writing. You cannot harshly criticize or polemically write something about the previous authors, right? So you should be using some suggestive words. The previous the results we have or I have attained is slightly higher than, and it is seem to be some kind of suggestive words. You cannot say the previous researchers are wrong, since this is you cannot write like that. I have seen some papers having harsh critics of the previous research, right? So that cannot be happening. And this part is like a guiding, it's like a lighthouse to other researchers. This is where they will look for the strategy 1. Like I'll go to that slide. So when I started strategy 1, you did this, right? So 2015, 16, 17, you were writing the input, methodology, output, and limitation of the methodology, right? So I asked you to see the conclusion when I was in this slide. So limitation is what you will write here. Where is that? Yes, right? So all the references must be have, whatever you are using should have a citation. So that's an additional point. Anyway, so you will write about the competing interest, conflicts of interest, and acknowledgements. If you have received any grants or funds, you will quote in that. And if you want to guide future researchers, you can clearly mention where you have left your research, and you can still have a pitch for the next researchers. In the future directions, the following parameters can be studied, and the attributes can be changed so that the efficiency will be improved. So some kind of pitching, some kind of laying some suitable ground for the next generation of researchers is a very good attitude when it comes to research, right? So the competing interests, you will have to write some acknowledgements. What is what, who helped you through the research, who guided you. Mostly you can mention your supervisor, you can mention anybody. It's a humanistic place where you show acknowledgements. And then if you have any funding or references sources, you can highlight it, right? So if it is a self-funded research, like it's a bootstrapped research, you can refer that also, right? So this is a condensed form. They are starting with the model proposed in this paper is intelligent agents cooperative. So they are talking about the model. They are defending the model, right? So defend the methodology and results. And then you can see some critics here. I will read it. Okay, agents are taking additions in non-deterministic moments of time. Such a behavior enlarges the probability of detecting such an approach. This model, so they are continuously mentioning the flaws from the previous studies and the success they have got through this study, right? So this is what I was talking. The future research, the future work will concentrate on the development of more sophisticated and effective ways of loading the workers depending on their idle time. You can choose this as a new research topic, research title. sophisticated and effective ways of loading the workers depending on the idle time. And you can also include this work, master slave type of architecture, all those things. If you are dwelling on this in this paper, you will have a research idea, right? So you have to go to the strategy one of condensing all the components papers. It takes only 7 papers to jot down all the entire research paper, to jot down all the research papers, right? So this completes strategy 6, and we will move to strategy 7 after a small break. And this is a very important uh, thing where I will show you the research elements, video abstract, multi-component title, how to frame a title, highlights, all those things I will demonstrate. And before diving into strategy 7 and taking a small break, this is for people who have joined us for the first time, right? So for the first time, or if you would like to register again also, there is no issue. Each of our webinars will be different, so slightly different. So there is a question I have written: do you want to know the ultimate secrets to get quickly published as a scientific author and hasten your PhD research, right? So this is a dream, quickly getting published as a scientific author, and fastly completing the writing. This is a dream of every researcher, and I'm going to talk about the some of the intricacies which you can expedite your research. And this is a research journey webinar, starting from if many people are just starting now, right? So uh, if you are in masters or if you are in bachelors, this research journey is a huge journey. It is a PhD is not like a degree. It is not having a prefixed time to finish. There are many components associated with the research journey, right? So I will tell you what are all the things to do in your entire research journey, right? So what should you write, how should you do, all small components. We will dissect it in this webinar, so you will have a clear checklist of things before entering into PhD, right? And if you're doing PhD, this is a must. So you can start. I will just broadcast the message. I'll copy this URL and I will type it in the message. You can register now, and this is on Sunday morning. Sorry, 10 o'clock. Sunday, most of you will be having leaves. So this is organized on Sunday, June 7th morning, 10 a.m. This is about all your research products, what you have to do, what you want to do throughout your research journey, right? This is also an awareness webinar, where you will know what to do. So if you are a doctorate or if you are a scholar, you can tell your colleagues and others, these are the things you will have to do. So you can have a timeline. And honestly, these 3 to 4 years will not be enough for if you are totally immersed in your research, right? So this is a very limited time, and you'll have to take several actions at the same time, right? So we will have a short break, and then where did it go? We'll have a, this is the last break, and we will complete the webinar after completing strategy 7, right? That's it. Right, so we will this part, abstract writing, is very important. So we will finish with abstract writing and titling, and then there are different types of abstract. Abstract is like a token. Abstract is like a token. They read the abstract, they judge your paper. They read your abstracts, they judge your paper, and that is why it is very important, right? So I will demonstrate how a good abstract is written, and then we will move on to titling, and we will leave for the day, right? So come back soon. Right, we are back. Are you here? We will see. There are 87 attendees right now. 10 people have left. Okay. Right. So strategy 7. How many of you are with me at this point? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So strategy 7 is application of the 5 I's. That is, I'll go through this slides faster. Initiation, inspection. That is about initiation is about the background. Inspection is about the literature review. Inquiry is about the methodology. Interpretation is about the results and discussion. And reporting future direction is about conclusion and referencing. Right? So this 5 I's can be seen in this abstract. Right? So I'll quickly read it. One second. I will quickly read it and you can see. Right, so the first thing is about initiation. The advances in information technology have witnessed great progress on healthcare technologies in various domains nowadays. This one sentence will answer all these. This one sentence will answer all these questions: why, when, what, how, right, where. And the next question will answer who, why it is done, what is it done. However, these new technologies have also made healthcare data not only much bigger, and this sentence in green also, moreover, because the data are created from a variety of devices and they have ended with a problem. So this red and green lines represents the literature review problem, literature review results, what they have achieved, the journey, the direction of their research. So they have spoken about the big data problem. They have spoken about how it is difficult to process, and they have told what data is it, healthcare data, why it is difficult to handle, and they have spoken about time. They have spoken about the characteristics of this data, formats of this data, right? So if you read this, you can see their hard work in these two lines, right? So that is how a good literature review is crafted, right? And then they start to talk about their methodology, right? So to provide a more convenient service and environment of healthcare, this paper proposes, and they are talking about their proposal. They are proposing a system for what? For patient-centric healthcare applications and services, and they are naming it. This is where the authority comes in. They are naming a system that they built on cloud and big data analytics technologies. This system consists of a data collection layer with a unified standard, a data management. See, this is where this system consists of. They are defending the system. They are describing the system, its architecture. It's a data collection layer is there with unified standard. A data management layer is there, and they are talking about parallel computing, data oriented service layer, right? And the red color line again comes for the results. The results of this study show that technologies can be enhanced performance. That is the output of this study, right? So they have given the implications of this study so that humans can enjoy various smart healthcare applications, right? So future directions are not given, but still it is a very good abstract with all the distinct elements of research, the 5 I's we spoke about, right? So there are different kinds of abstracts. Now for quick reviews, many journals are they are pulling these kind of abstracts from authors. You can say the first type is graphical abstract, right? So this is an example of a graphical abstract developed by these are some of the tools: Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, CorelDRAW, Affinity Designer. If you are unable to do a graphical abstract, you have to seek somebody who is good in graphics design, right? So in our office we have a separate department for this. They do graphic designing for scientific processes like schematic representations, visual representations, flowcharts, block diagrams, architecture design, all those graphical representations, right? So The next is about highlights writing. If you see papers published after 2018, there will be some, this is a main criteria, highlighting the samples. So if a reader is reading the research, he can quickly understand what is given inside the paper. So that is the highlights sample, right? So the next type of abstract is video abstract, right? So we are entering into a video era. You are watching my video, and my screen is in the video format right now. So everything is going to be a video. Video era is coming up, digital era. So your abstract also has to be in video mode, and it requires special care. It cannot be, if you're not professionally good in making videos, handheld videos or selfie videos cannot be submitted for video abstract. I'm going to play this video abstract. You can get some idea about how it is made. That is where you place your authority as a researcher, right? So in layman's term, it is called as personal branding, right? But in scientific terms, it is called as academic performance booster or citation booster. If you are able to defend your research in a video format, many researchers are going to refer that. Many researchers, your citation will go high, right? So the curiosity that people have to view a video is so high, right? So developing a video abstract, we can definitely help you on that, right? So we can there are two types of video. You can straight away record in a camera, or you can use audio visual videos. Audio visual, so you can record the audio, and you can create the animation of the visuals. So I'll play this. This is a beautifully crafted abstract, video abstract. If you have any audio problems, I don't think the audio will be okay. Anyway, I'll play it. If you can hear the audio, can you please type yes? Because I can hear the audio. Right, so many people report some audio problems, but right. So I'll skip this slide. So what this is author, right? So she's I'm not finding the scroll button also, so I cannot scroll the video to the last part. So that is an author. She's talking about the highlights of her research, right? So and then there will be some visual representation in that video. You can download a lot of video abstracts, no issue. You can, after this webinar, go to YouTube and type video scientific abstract. You can get a lot of videos. So the thing is, she's explaining about this, she's explaining about this, and she's explaining about this, right, in a video format. That's it. That is about the video abstract, right? And the final part of your research paper is about writing a title, right? So that is the final part of is about writing the title with all the components, right? So if you take this, this is a recent study in Wuhan, China. This is an epidemiological finding of 5 patients in a familial cluster. That means, from 5 people from different families with pneumonia, with association with pneumonia, and the incurrence of SARS-2. So they were involved in person-to-person transmission in Wuhan. So if you want to, they might have studied about what is epidemiological findings. They will talk about, familial clusters in viral diseases. That is a component. And association with 2019 novel coronavirus. They might have studied about the association with SARS-1 also. And they might have studied about transmission. They might have studied where part, the Wuhan part, China. So they might have to publish this research, a lot of literature review must have gone through. So that is how you dissect a paper, through components. So if your component, if your title is so catchy, it is a huge parameter, huge. It has a huge potential to get selected in a critical review. right? So that is about the 7 strategies. I will quickly go through what I have told from the beginning, and I have some small announcement. With that, we will finish it. So, strategy 1 is idea clustering. It is basically about creating the novel concepts where you will do a component analysis document. And strategy 2 is about collecting so much of references for these 4 things: general introduction, problem description, and your contribution, and rest of the section organization. You can start writing this, right? So strategy 2 is about literature review. Sorry. About the 5 components, right? So if you can scrutinize these 5 components and make into a document, that is strategy 2. And strategy 3 is about writing literature review. We will have a special class on writing a literature review also. We will communicate to you through email. Right. So framing a novel methodology is 4th strategy. So we spoke about the 2 existing ways, easy ways of framing a methodology, and these are the 5 types of methodology mostly observed in scientific studies. And some of you have registered for the webinars. Strategy 6 is about conclusion and references and future directions. Strategy 7 is the final stage of your writing, where you write abstract, video abstract, you prepare graphical abstract, you do some works for your personal branding and citation booster. This last part is very important for people who have already published papers, who are already doctorates, and it will be much useful to you to establish your credibility, in the evolving world. After 2020, people are going to question your authority, right? So you will be invited for talks, and especially people with doctorates should have this personal positioning in the scientific community, and videos are a good source for it, right? So these are some of the last line I would like to read. The last line I would like to read, and I will start a poll right now. So Wednesday, I'm coming live on a WebEx meeting. That is not a webinar. We are going to see face to face, if you are willing to show the face. And you can see my team. I'm coming with my team, right? So I'm coming with my research compliance managers, research project managers, the senior research techies whom I have. So they will be, we are going live to discuss your personal doubts. There are a lot of questions you have asked. So you can ask live, right? So you will get an idea, and that will also be a call to action. It's an action meeting. That is what we believe in. I personally believe in learning should be limited. You cannot learn everything in this world, right? Focused learning is very, very important. So taking action is the primary act in learning, right? So I have just scratched the surface. I have not gone deep into anything, right? So uh, I invite you to come to this technical discussion that is going to happen on this coming Wednesday. What is the date? Probably June 10th, right? June 10th, there is a live WebEx meet. The same time, probably 6 o'clock. But it's a small meet where you can see our team. Now you cannot see our team. You can see our team. We are working from home right now. Everything is happening right now in the research community. Nothing is halt here, except for some laboratories and other stuff. Computational research is fine. It is on the peak now, right? So I'm going to start a poll now. So I would like to know how many of you would be interested in meeting us live again, and I'll go through the research journey, all the products that you'll have to do as a researcher, all the products you have to do as a qualified expert. You will have to write a book, you will have to boost your citation index, you can make courses, you can teach, you can implement new teaching pedagogy methodology to your students. There are thousands of possibilities where you can position. You can start um, building your credibility, right? So that is where we go live on Wednesday. I invite you personally for this, and after that also, step by step our journey forward will be taking care, with our team, with my team, and with me. You can visit our office when things get normal. We are located in Chennai, and I'm starting a poll right now. How many of you are interested in this? I would like to have a yes if you are interested in meeting us live, just for statistics. We would like to see yes, and if it is no, it is perfectly fine. If it is a no, you can tell people about our learning programs here. Every 15 days once we will communicate to the email, and you can visit our website. This is our website. You can subscribe to our webinars here. Mostly we will have a lot of um, different ideas will be disseminated in the webinar. I make it, some of the slides I have used in many webinars, but the formats are still different, right? So the takeaways will be different. So if you are coming to several webinars, that will be good also, right? So you can tell your colleagues about this things we are doing, right? So and you can write all the papers. Now you might have, if you are taking notes, you would have got some bunch of doubts, right? So bunch of, you will not know where to get started, which should you start first. You will have so much of doubts which you need to clarify with your peers. We are your peers. We can be your peers, and you can also ask your supervisors, colleagues, esteemed people, right? So you have to, this is time you start networking with like-minded people, and we will meet live. 90% of people have said yes. Thank you so much for the votes poll, right? So we will again communicate to you through the mail about this Wednesday WebEx meet, and we will meet live, right? So thank you for your time. I will close the poll now, and I'll dedicate some time. This is about time, it's 9 o'clock, right? So, and if you have any questions, can you please type. We will have a Q&A session. We will have a quick Q&A session now. I'll select some questions, say 2 or 3 questions, right? So much appreciated, Mr. Sam, for giving such a wonderful session. Madhu Sudana has told, thank you so much. Right, I'm receiving many thank you. Preeti Singh, thank you. Beena, thank you. Right, what do you mean by proposed results? Does it relate to the hypothesis? Hema is asking that. Yes, the answer is yes. You can call that as expected results. And that is what we will propose initially in the research proposal. We cannot tell the results in the initial phase, but we can definitely give a you can expect some result in the direction you are going, right? Thank you, Hassan. Thank you. I couldn't spell some of your names, sorry for that. Okay, well done job, thank you. Right, so I'm very thankful for the time you spent here, right? So the next important thing is about to take action, right? So when you take action, you will feel the real impediments. You can feel the real wall blocking the research, and then you can contact us. Sir, is there any longer orientation session for young researchers like a boot camp? Can you please write in detail about the things what you are talking about boot camp? And if you are if your doctorates, or if you're having some influential, if you're in an influential position in academic institution or anywhere, you can arrange webinars. I can do webinars. I can teach on the topic you suggest. If you give me 4 to 5 days, I can prepare some contents, beautiful contents, and I can come speak to the audience. I'm much interested in that, and that will be a free session, right? How to get the complete source of information about the review of literature, right? So first thing is, who has asked that? Kokila. So how to get the complete source of information about the review of literature, right? So The last 5 years research is what is the answer. You will have to resort so much deep into that. You have to study the psychology of your peers, how they have researched, what they have placed. Anyway, that is a good question, but my answer is so limited. Please write to us in this email ID, support@aristocratresearch.com. Check the spellings, it's quite a long email ID. Right, so we will meet in two ways. We will meet in future webinars. We will meet in the email, and you can WhatsApp us. You can WhatsApp me and my team. We are having this WhatsApp. You can please note this number. Please like this page, right? Please like this page, PhD guidance. You can just Google, just Facebook it in Facebook. PhD guidance Facebook page. You can put a like there. We will post some informations there, and you can write your doubts now. We will answer you in the next 24 hours. We are our work timing is so limited, 10 to 5:30 we work, right? So I'm doing this extra time, and my team is also with me, listening to me extra time, right? So yes, some Sharan, you want to make this kind of webinars in your university? Yes, definitely we can collaborate. It will be a good idea to disseminate knowledge. People will be benefited. Thank you so much. You can write to us about these things, right? And there are so much of possibilities which I will explain you on Wednesday. And I'm so happy to spend my time here with you and see you live on Wednesday, right? So come with doubts and questions. Thank you so much. I'm signing off now. Thank you so much for your time.